President Donald Trump has made a bold and controversial decision. He plans to house 30,000 illegal immigrants at Guantanamo Bay. This move has sparked outrage and debate across the globe. Critics call it inhumane and a stain on America's reputation. Supporters applaud Trump's commitment to border security and his tough stance on illegal immigration. Trump's decision is a significant escalation in his fight against illegal immigration. It marks a new chapter in the already complex history of Guantanamo Bay. The former military prison has long been a symbol of America's controversial approach to national security. This decision will have far-reaching consequences, impacting both domestic politics and international relations. It is a stark reminder of the divisive nature of immigration in the United States. Throughout his presidential campaign, Donald Trump made immigration a central issue. He vowed to build a wall along the US-Mexico border. He promised to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. He called for a ban on Muslims entering the country. These promises resonated with a segment of the American public. They were concerned about national security and the economic impact of illegal immigration. Trump's rhetoric was often inflammatory and divisive. However, it was effective in mobilizing his base of support. Trump's victory in the 2016 election gave him a mandate to implement his immigration agenda. His supporters eagerly awaited action on his campaign promises. Trump's decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house illegal immigrants is a clear indication of his commitment to fulfilling those promises. It remains to be seen how this policy will be implemented and what the long-term consequences will be. Upon taking office, the Trump administration moved swiftly to enact its immigration agenda. One of the president's first actions was to sign an executive order banning travel from several Muslim-majority countries. This order was met with widespread protests and legal challenges. The administration also stepped up enforcement of immigration laws. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agents conducted raids across the country, arresting and detaining thousands of undocumented immigrants. The administration also implemented a zero-tolerance policy at the border, separating children from their parents who crossed illegally. These actions sparked outrage from human rights groups and immigration advocates. They argued that the administration was violating the rights of asylum seekers and refugees. The separation of families was particularly controversial, drawing condemnation from both Democrats and Republicans. Despite the backlash, the Trump administration remained steadfast in its commitment to reducing illegal immigration. The decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house undocumented immigrants is the latest and perhaps most controversial step in this effort. The Department of Homeland Security (DHS) will play a key role in implementing President Trump's plan to house illegal immigrants at Guantanamo Bay. DHS is responsible for managing and securing the facility. It will also be tasked with providing for the basic needs of the detainees, including food, shelter, and medical care. DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen has expressed support for the president's decision. She argues that Guantanamo Bay is a secure facility that can safely and humanely house a large number of detainees. Nielsen has also emphasized the need to deter illegal immigration and protect national security. However, some critics have questioned whether DHS has the resources and expertise to manage such a large and complex operation. They point to the agency's troubled history with detention facilities, including allegations of abuse and neglect. Others have raised concerns about the legal implications of detaining immigrants indefinitely without charge. President Trump's decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house illegal immigrants has been met with widespread condemnation from the international community. Leaders from across the globe have denounced the move as inhumane and a violation of international law. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has called on the United States to reconsider the plan. The European Union has expressed deep concern about the decision, and several Latin American countries have summoned their U.S. ambassadors to express their displeasure. The decision has also strained relations with Cuba, which leases Guantanamo Bay to the United States. Cuban President Raúl Castro has called the plan unacceptable and a violation of Cuban sovereignty. He has demanded that the United States return the territory to Cuba. The international outcry highlights the damage that President Trump's decision has done to America's reputation abroad. It has also further isolated the United States on the world stage. Section 6. Why Guantanamo? The Trump administration has cited several reasons for choosing Guantanamo Bay as a detention center for illegal immigrants. First, the facility is located on a remote naval base in Cuba, far from the U.S. mainland. This makes it difficult for detainees to escape and limits their contact with the outside world. Second, Guantanamo Bay has a long history of housing detainees, including suspected terrorists and enemy combatants. The facility is already equipped with cells, interrogation rooms, and other infrastructure necessary for detention operations. Third, the administration argues that using Guantanamo Bay will save money compared to building new detention facilities in the United States. The government already owns the land and existing infrastructure, which could potentially reduce construction costs. However, critics have questioned the wisdom of using Guantanamo Bay for this purpose. They argue that the facility's remote location and association with human rights abuses will make it difficult to ensure the humane treatment of detainees. They also point out that the cost savings may be offset by the logistical challenges of transporting detainees to and from Cuba. Section 7. Voices from the Past. The decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house illegal immigrants has also drawn criticism from former government officials who have experience with the facility. One such critic is retired General Colin Powell, former Secretary of State under President George W. Bush. Powell has called the plan a terrible idea that would damage America's standing in the world. Another prominent critic is former Vice President Dick Cheney, who played a key role in establishing the detention camp at Guantanamo Bay after the September 11 attacks. Cheney has argued that the facility should be reserved for high-value detainees, such as suspected terrorists. Even some officials who were involved in the Bush administration's use of Guantanamo Bay for the detention of suspected terrorists have expressed reservations about President Trump's plan. This suggests that there is a growing consensus, even among those who supported the use of the facility in the past, that it is not an appropriate place to house illegal immigrants. Section 8. A new chapter in immigration policy. President Trump's decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house illegal immigrants marks a significant escalation in his administration's efforts to crack down on illegal immigration. It is a clear sign that the president is willing to take unprecedented measures to achieve his immigration goals. The decision is likely to have far-reaching consequences for U.S. immigration policy. It sets a dangerous precedent that could lead to the indefinite detention of immigrants without due process. It also raises serious legal and ethical questions about the treatment of detainees. Moreover, the decision is likely to further polarize the debate over immigration in the United States. It will energize the president's base of support, but it will also alienate and anger his opponents. This could make it even more difficult to find common ground on this already divisive issue. Section 9. The Long Shadow of Guantanamo. The decision to use Guantanamo Bay to house illegal immigrants casts a long shadow over America's commitment to human rights and the rule of law. It is a reminder of the dangers of using fear and xenophobia to justify policies that undermine fundamental freedoms. The facility at Guantanamo Bay has long been a symbol of America's flawed approach to counterterrorism. It has been marred by allegations of torture, abuse, and indefinite detention without charge. Using it to house illegal immigrants would only further tarnish America's reputation in the eyes of the world. President Trump's decision is a step backward for America. It is a betrayal of the values that this country stands for. The United States must reverse course and find a more humane and just approach to immigration.